One of the most mysterious and captivating storylines going into Stranger Things 5 is by far what's going to happen with Max Mayfield. Is she going to be alive? Is she going to be dead? Is she going to have powers? Is she just going to be normal? Well, we're going to dive into all the possibilities today, and before we do, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're on a road to 300,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane to say, and join my Discord down below where we talk Stranger Things every single day, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. So obviously the most likely scenario is that she's simply either dead and not going to come alive, or she's simply going to be alive and normal. Now the real question is if she dies, how is that going to impact the story? Well, it's probably going to be a big effect on Lucas, on Elle, on the people that were closest to Max, and it's probably going to start some sort of arc with one of those characters, whether it helps them power through and defeat Vecna or something else. But her death, if she actually dies, would have a massive impact on the show. Her storyline is going to have a massive impact regardless. And then the other side of that is if she is just normal after the coma and nothing happened and she's just walking normally, she's seeing normally, all of her bones are back together, her eyes are normal again, then how did it happen? And is she going to have trauma? Is she going to be affected by this long term? Or is it just going to be a flip of a light switch because of some miracle that Elle performed or something else happened that just wakes her up? Like one theory that I had back in the day, probably like 6 months ago, is I said whenever the connection with the upside down and the real world disconnects, maybe everything that happened because of the connection between the upside down and the real world no longer exist, meaning that Max would just wake up from the coma, be completely normal, and then other people who died because of the upside down and the real world connection will just all come back to life. Billy, Bob, Barb, Brenner, everyone. They'll just come back to life. Well, maybe not Brenner. I don't know. But that's just my theory. That was just one of my theories. Like maybe when that connection is disassembled, since her mind's like in Vecna's mind, maybe she'll just be okay. Like a snap of a finger. I don't know, but either way, either one of those scenarios, there has to be some sort of explanation of how she just wakes up or how she just dies. And I don't know, the waking up part and just being normal is kind of baffling to me, and I think I don't really see it happening that way. I just don't see her being completely normal. And that brings me to the next possibility, and that is she wakes up, but she has powers. Now, obviously, this is extremely unlikely, but the reason I say this is because Max Mayfield died in front of our eyes. Her heartbeat stopped, her bones snapped, her eyes were just like not in her body, like just turned around, smashed, all that stuff, bleeding, and her heartbeat stopped right in front of her eyes. She literally died. And the way that she was revived was a human with telekinetic powers made her heart start beating again, and she lived. So she got revived by telekinetic powers. What if somehow, some way, because of that experience, because of her connection with Vecna and all this stuff, what if she wakes up and just has powers? Because either way, if she wakes up and walks in normal and is just normal again and all that stuff, everything's just okay, it's gonna be a miracle in itself. So why not add on another miracle to where she actually has powers and can contribute to helping defeat Vecna? I think that would be amazing, but I also think that Will having powers would be awesome as well, and everyone just has powers, and 8 returns, and this, that, and the other, so I'm kind of crazy, but I'm just saying, if a miracle's already gonna happen, I'll also put another miracle on top of it, make it even a bigger miracle, because everyone was heartbroken in season 4 as well, whenever that happened. Like, everyone on TikTok was sad, everyone was just saying, like, oh my god, the Max scene, the Max scene, the Max scene, all this stuff. Well, what better way than to have her come back to life and actually, like, have an even bigger impact on the show in a positive way? Like, that would be insane and would definitely bring in numbers, which is what Netflix cares about. So we talked about 3 possibilities so far. She either just dies and she has an impact by inspiring Eleven or Lucas to do something impactful and stuff like that, you know, the cliche TV show death, or she either lives and she's normal and she contributes to the group in a normal way, and her and Lucas live happily ever after, and she probably has a little bit of trauma. That's probably the most likely scenario, I would say. Or she wakes up and has powers, which is obviously unlikely, but that was the third option we talked about. Now there's a 4th option that I want to talk about that would be even more depressing than literally everything else, but could end up being the happiest moment of the show almost, where we have a scenario where Max died in season 4. She goes into season 5 in a coma. What if her body turns into a host for Vecna just like all the people did in the hospital in season 3, and she gets possessed. But this time around, she's a host for like, say, 6 episodes, 7 episodes, whatever it is, 5 episodes, 4 episodes. And then at the very last episode, or maybe in episode 7, or the first episode of volume 2, if there's gonna be volumes or anything like that, like probably the second to last episode, they defeat Vecna and revive Max, and she's normal again, and they live happily ever after. That would cause so much of a devastation. You know, think about it. Max was up here at her peak in season 3, and then the happiness went down, and then she got, you know, like everybody thought she was gonna die because she was getting possessed by Vecna, and it kept going down, 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 and then she died, and then she basically died even more because now she's in a coma, and then in a coma, and she became a host for an alternate dimension demon, and she's all the way down as low as you can be without actually being dead. And then they revive her, and she lives happily ever after. Like, I'm just saying, that would be like the craziest comeback, happiest miracle moment story in the history of Netflix shows ever. And it would also make everyone happy because no one wants to see Max suffer anymore. But if she did suffer more in season 5 and then ended up recovering, that would be insane. Now, we could go into more in-depth scenarios, like for example, maybe she gains powers different ways than just through the connection with Vecna and 11, all that stuff. Or maybe she dies and then, I don't know. Maybe there's different scenarios, but those are the 4 scenarios that I came up with that I think, you know, I enjoy talking about, and I think some of them are realistic. Besides the one her having powers, it's not really realistic, but I'm gonna throw it in there because I would love for it to happen. I do think the host slash, you know, pawn for Vecna would be a possibility, sort of like Will was and all that stuff, and maybe like Will and Max both be hosts in season 5. I don't really know. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because I don't know if this is like too far-fetched or not far-fetched, and you guys agree like that could make a lot of sense. But I want to know your guys' opinions, and I appreciate you guys stopping by. A little bit of a shorter video, but I want to be pumping out as much Stranger Things content as I can before season 5 comes out because Netflix is doing a horrible job. I love Netflix so much, and I respect them. I would love to work with them, all that stuff, the whole 9 yards, okay? But the fact that they haven't done more promotion for this show irks me to my core because it's one of the greatest shows of all time, but it's undeniably the greatest Netflix original of all time. And yet we haven't heard them say a word about it in 2025, and it's releasing this year. So I don't know what we're doing here, but if they're not going to promote it and they're not going to have any promotions and stuff like that, and maybe they will later this month or starting at the Super Bowl or whatever in March, I'm going to start now. And I've been started. I've been doing it for months now. I'm not stopping. So I'm gonna be doing the promoting. If they're not gonna do it, people ask me on Instagram like, they're not even promoting their own show. This isn't gonna be hyped. All that stuff. I'm like, if they're not gonna promote it, I'm gonna promote it. So I'm not going anywhere. I love this show definitely more than any show in the world. More than a lot of things in my life. I love this show more than. Because this show has done so much for me, and it's such a great show and has amazing stories and theories and all that stuff. So I'm pretty disappointed with Netflix so far. Hopefully they redeem themselves. I've heard rumors that there's going to be stuff later this month, maybe in February. I don't know. I don't really care because regardless, I'm staying right here, and I'm going to do as much as I can to keep the hype of this show at least a little bit up, you know, and try to increase it each and every week. But I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, join my Discord if you want to talk Stranger Things every single day. And if you guys like Fortnite or anything to do with gaming, or you just want to hang out and chill, RelayTS on Twitch. I'm live over there every single evening, pretty much, at least 5 days a week. So I'd really appreciate if you drop the follow over on my Twitch. It would help me out a lot, especially with the TikTok ban. The support means the world. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.